Danielle, R.T, good to see you both. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
So, R.T, I want to ask you because I find it interesting because you directed this, but you're also a co-writer on this. And I feel like naturally those conversations that you're going to have with the creatives, the crew, and the actors are going to be different. But I want to know how different they were from a director and a writer perspective when you went to camera for 40 Acres. Did they feel like two different jobs? Was it all like one storytelling thing? Like, I'm curious about that.
Oh, no, no. I think, look, I mean, the story originated with me, and then I brought in my friend Glenn Taylor to help me to navigate it. And so, by the time that we got to the stage of shooting, it wasn't something that I had to like kind of defer or anything like that. It was, and we worked on it for 6 years, so it's in the bones, when you get to that stage. So it's just going and speaking to all the different department heads and stuff like that. That's just director stuff, So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Danielle, good to see you. And I do want to kind of ask you, because I know the answer to this is like you try not to as an actor because you're in the moment and you're figuring it out and you're focusing on your character and everything. But like, given that this is such an edge of your seat kind of action thriller film with a lot going on, are you ever conscious of the audience member watching 40 Acres while you're making it in production? Or is that something that happens like a little bit more after you wrap, so to speak?
Not my job. Not my job. I am only thinking about what it means to be Hailey, and my eyes are R.T.
Yeah, absolutely. Were there ever moments though where you were at lunch, you were like, R.T, like this is gonna be a cool scene? Did ever that
Not
happen?
at all, not one bit. Literally.
That was like the root of the question a little bit too, because it was more like just like the excitement, right? Of like just seeing everything. But I get it. You're in the zone. You're focusing on the character. You did a great job.
I'm never thinking about that. I think if you're making art, you're thinking about your perspective. It's deeply, deeply personal. I want to root in what he has taught me.
Yeah.
About this being a story about a critical moment between in his life, from the woman who reared him, raised him,
yes,
taught cultural ways. I think that's that's, I don't playback and all that stuff. That's the tech world.
No, absolutely. Quick follow-up question then to that then is that script to screen journey really is interesting, right? Because at some point you read these scripts and then you go to, camera and everything. I'm just wondering, what was that like for you, like reading everything and then getting to film it and seeing it come to life, so to speak?
It's a weird little circuitous thing. Like R.T sent this, I got it from my team, typical, and then R.T sent a letter, and the world was going in a certain kind of way pre-strike. And then the world stopped for the strike, and it opened up, and that it operated off of a waiver, and so I was, spirit moves in a certain kind of way, so it made it happen. But I had been in a space of thinking about land, thinking about the history of my family and their cultural ways, and like gardening and all of these different things, their relationship to the land. And that correlated to, the experience of what it means for the Freeman family to be making their way. So it was like, this is beautiful. This would be wonderful. Also, you get to kick some ass. So you put, 2 and 2 together and you got 50 million, and you go and hang out in rural Sudbury with R.T for a few months.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And R.T, that action kind of component of it, there's a lot that kind of goes into it. You're talking to a lot of different people about that. You're talking to like a stunt team and everything. What was that like specifically? Like the action kind of sequences? Like, did that feel like its own kind of like movie itself, just the action sequences? 'Cause I feel like a lot of those might have taken a lot of time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, look, and I'm a genre kid. I love thrillers. I love action. I love horror. And I know that, what I was crafting, while it was, absolutely part, family drama and coming of age story, that I'm also wanting to craft something that, I used to sneak into theaters when I was a teenager, go watch movies I shouldn't be watching, and, go on a ride.
We needed you to look at that.
So, I of course, I love a great sequence. There's something about thrillers that they grab you without the need for dialogue or anything. You just lean in and you hold your breath, and it's one of the purest art forms, cinema, that it can just do that to you. simply by, by putting people in that space where they've followed these characters to this moment, and you can have a moment of silence, and it's something that grips you and the audience. Yeah, it was a lot of fun crafting a lot of those sequences,
Yep.
and release valve for that tension that's built up, in these relationships, and then to see what these characters do. And you build these characters, they're badasses, so you want to see them do some stuff.
Absolutely. It's so great, crazy you say that about like going to see the movies in the theaters. Like, cause I remember like PG-13 for me, like right when I was 13, I was able to go see all the horror movies, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm in 1991. So for me, it was like Amityville Horror, House of Wax, Darkwater,
Yes.
all of those. And then that made me, cause I'm a filmmaker as well in the genre as well. So that really made me want to go do that. And Danielle, my question to you is like, you are working in that space now and doing an amazing job in that kind of thriller horror space right now, and I'm just wondering, like, given that they've always been around horror movies and thrillers, but there is such a big kind of popularity and like interest in that genre right now. I'm just wondering what's it like from a storytelling acting perspective working in those genres at a time there's a big appetite for them.
Oh, I mean, it's delightful. I think everybody's looking for a way to, those are liminal spaces, right?
Mm,
Like, I think you think about a pocket, RT said survival thriller. He
yeah.
called, that's what he called 40. And I think that that's more critical in thinking about how, thinking of futurity, thinking of what do you do in the most dire moment of your life. I feel like we're feeling the weight of that if we're talking about a present moment, right?
Yeah.
And or if it, whether it's a global dynamic, a national dynamic, or what does it come to what's happening with an individual self? What do you do in those times where you're feeling deeply middled and it can go one way or the other? I think folks are, have always lived and moved through the propaganda nature of film and television and cinema in order to learn ways of being, in order to learn ways of survival, and just to also to feel a connective heart tissue and
Yep.
compassion for humanity and seeing that reflected on screen. So yeah,
Mhm.
you learn, oh, I need to get a this, I need a knife, I need a gun, I need a this, and I need to know, oh, this is how they work the land. Oh, this is a beautiful dynamic, and how do you handle this kind of
Yep.
family thing or love thing or whatever. It's a space to feel human, to see humanity played out.
Absolutely.
And you could possibly take the option or not, but just to at least feel it. RT has been around the world with 40 and shown it to all kinds of folks of different religious and ethnic backgrounds,
Mhm.
and everybody has found, this link. And
Yep.
so a thriller can give you that. A horror can give you that, and he's got all of that mangled in one with 40.
So that's my perfect segue to my last question before I wrap up for URT is, like you said, you brought it everywhere. There's been so much happens before you officially went to camera on this film. Like there's so many things, so many conversations, so much prep. From a storytelling perspective, you can see it as two journeys, right? Before filming it and after filming it. Or does it feel like one big journey with multiple steps in between for you with this film?
Production is a strange animal. It's look, it is one journey. It is one journey to you know to fall deeply in love with the story, the kernel of the story that you're telling, the need to tell this, and then you go through the process of sort of crafting it in whatever form it takes, and then you welcome other people into that, and you build community, and for the film, for me with this film, it was, the two things were linked. I'm telling a story about a family that's quite isolated, and then, it's the challenge of opening up, and embracing community. And the same thing happens in the filmmaking process, and it's a beautiful process. Sometimes it's very difficult. It's challenging. There's lots of personalities. You don't always get along, and then but you have to stay together to keep everything moving forward, just like a family, and you learn to grow from that process. So it's a beautiful process, one that is sometimes maddening, but it's also incredibly rewarding because the people that you meet along the way, and how they can touch you, you know? So it's an amazing process, and one that I love, and one that I hope to do for the rest of my life if I can.
Absolutely. And I can't wait for people to see 40 Acres. It's a great film. And congratulations to both of you. And it was an honor and privilege to speak with both of you. Thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.